I'm quite excited today to invite um, my coach, a senior coach in the industry with more than 20 years of experience, Mr. Gaurav Arora. And I'm looking forward to this conversation with him. Whatever interactions I had over the last couple of years with him, I've found him an uh, exceptionally bright and uh, very confident and a very bold person who is not afraid of asking the toughest and the most difficult questions with no mind of consequences. What could be the consequence of the question he is putting on to the other person? And I love that. So, anyway, welcome Gaurav to this interaction with you. And today's topic with transformative leadership begins within. And who else other than you with 20 years of experience coaching leaders and developing people and unleashing the potential of leaders in this universe can be there with us to share some of the thoughts and I'll share my journey insights as we go along. So welcome, Gaurav.
Thank you so much, guys. So, you've been extremely kind with your words and with your time. And
No,
I,
it's
I think,
been. Yeah, go
I
ahead,
think,
please.
I think we meet people in our lives, uh, and that's a validation that we are moving in the right direction. So, meeting you on this path has been an absolute delight, a pleasure, and a validation that I'm moving in the right direction in my life. Thank you.
So, Gaurav, the first and the foremost, like, what does it mean to you when this transformative leadership journey begins within? And how have you experienced in your 20 years of coaching, profession? And then I'll share mine as to how it appears to me, being a leader for almost 41 years in my life.
Yeah, yeah. You've been a leader for 41 years. So you've been extremely kind, uh, Anurag sir. So first question is, what does it mean to me when we say that transformative journey begins within? And for the time being, I'm just parking the word leader on one side because I personally believe that who you are is how you lead. So what it means is that the journey of a leader is the journey of a human being, which also means that unless I am progressing in my own journey as a human being, I would not be able to be more inclusive to others. And I would continue to operate from a space of separation. And for as long as I'm operating from a space of separation, I'll not be able to be an inclusive leader. So that means I have to look within myself every time when I experience a sense of hurt, jealousy, or a sense of separation. It's an opportunity to go deep within myself and see, hey, where am I operating from and what's stopping me to be kinder in this moment. We were just talking about this some time back, Anurag sir. So thus it becomes extremely important to look within and then start to look at life and the way I'm showing up. And as you asked me in my journey of 20 years, I have personally gone through a lot of transitions, as I may call it. And all the transitions are extremely painful because letting go of one identity that has served you for so many years is always painful. As they say, a known devil is better than an unknown angel. So I know the space that I'm operating from is not the best possible space and it's not serving me as well. But one thing is for sure that I'm certain about the results that it is producing. So certainty is there. And that's the painful area, to let go of the certainty and to trust the universe that in this journey when I'm on to, and I've been blessed to be called myself a human being, the journey is of evolution only. There's no other path. The journey is of evolution.
Revolution.
And we would continue to come across different situations that would help us. But the point is, we all want to grow, but we find it extremely difficult to grow within ourselves. And that's the journey that we need to be very mindful of.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, how it appears to me is that, for almost good part of my leadership, I thought the leaders are there to achieve things, deliver things, and make things happen. And I was always a bull in the china shop, my way or highway. And I realized, and when I reflect back, saying that I may have probably been many times damaging to people, right? Which I regret, but that is past. And once I got introduced to this particular journey inside through the process of vipassana, that's when something completely new opened to me.
Yeah,
And that's when I started integrating with the other energies. I call now every human being as an energy.
yeah, yeah. I can so much relate to
And
that.
till the time I am not really making inclusive journey, it means I am not conscious and I'm not really careful about what other energies are trying to achieve in their life.
Mm,
And when I started recognizing and I started listening, the first thing which I did in my life, where I was an extremely poor listeners, people used to tell me that, why
mm,
are you always in such a hurry? I said, I'm a leader, I have
yeah,
limited time. I just need to produce maximum out of my time I have available.
yeah,
And I used to always be in a hurry.
yeah,
From that time to now, when I can listen to people and
yeah,
listen very, very carefully
yeah.
without showing any signs of hurry or unease, saying that my time is going away or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. The challenge is, Anurag, sir, that we have a lot of assumptions in our life. So, for example, as you said, that my time is running and I have to produce a lot of results. The challenge is that we don't ask ourselves for the sake of what,
For the
and
sake of
what are you trying to produce, and for what? Who told you? And what would happen in case you don't produce? We don't ask those questions. The
true.
challenge is that the environment that we are born into and the context we are born with, we pick up assumptions from here and there and we start to create meanings in our lives. We never challenge the meaning making machine that we have
Hmm.
become.
True.
And interestingly, we start to live our life from a space of default context. And we've
Hmm.
been running and running and running and running and running, and we don't take a pause and say, hey, for the sake of what? What's happening?
Hmm.
Why am I
Hmm.
doing what am I doing? For
Hmm.
that matter, as I told you, right, I used to bite my nails for so many years.
Hmm.
I can take pride in saying that you have got 41 years of experience in the professional world. I've got 41 years of experience in biting my nails. And just 2 months back, I saw my little daughter. She's
Hmm.
5. Her name is Neer. Neer was biting her nails. And of course, she has picked it up from me only unconsciously. And as much as I wanted to tell her, please don't bite your nails, a part of me did not give me that consent to go and tell her that, beta, you should not bite your nails, because in case I ask her not to bite her nails, I'm being a pseudo father. I
Correct.
don't have the right to ask her not to do something that I'm doing. And Anurag sir, I don't know why, but that very day something magical happened.
Hmm.
While doing my own practice of sitting alone and reflecting and going deep within myself, I realized that something melted within me. Something
Hmm.
got dissolved within
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
And I was just watching myself, as if there's so much of load that I've been carrying on my shoulders. And I just experienced that sense of stillness and calmness, and as if there's no load to carry. Next day, when I met her in the morning, she pointed finger. She put her finger in her mouth. I just looked at her. Suddenly, I did not say anything, and she pulled her finger out of her mouth.
Hmm.
Something magical happens
Hmm.
because I did not ask her, I did not try to control her. I
Hmm.
just reflected, and something got dissolved within.
Hmm.
How it happened, I don't know.
Hmm.
And the interesting part is, I don't find a need to know
Hmm.
why it happened.
Hmm.
Magic, isn't it?
Very true. Oh, amazing. So, in this particular part, which you said something happened within me, and that particular thing, just something dissolved, and I felt so light after that
Yeah.
particular experience. So, I also want to share that now with my almost 12, 13 years of, experience with meditation. When I sit in my meditation every morning, I feel that with the focus which we have practiced for so many years, focusing on our first breath for a few minutes initially, and then taking it to your entire cellular body, right from head to toe, you gain the power and an experience how to put your cells to rest. They get into a deep state of relaxation. And when that happens, you can virtually feel the burden going down. I can feel that I have lost few kilos from there. And I recognize that this process every morning when it happens, it puts me in such a positive mind frame for the day that I'm, all charged up to take anything which life throws at me during the day
Yeah.
because I'm prepared that life will throw things which I anticipate and which I don't anticipate. So
Yeah.
what is going to come during the day, I cannot really predict.
Yeah.
So how am I, looking forward to receiving what life throws at me? And then I am observing myself saying, did I react to anything out there, or I was uh, paused enough to observe everything which is creating whatever it is creating inside me, whether it is positive or negative impact of what the situation is creating in me. And am I able to have that consciousness and mindfulness to be able to respond
Yeah.
to the situation rather than get disturbed or get perturbed about that?
So true.
And I feel otherwise, morning till evening, people sitting in front of me could very well clearly examine that this man is now sweating. I could sweat in front of the people because I've heard something which is not favorable, and I'm raging inside me saying how this could happen and what impact it can have, and so much of hard work is gone and things like that. And now when I look back and reflect on it, I laugh at it, saying as to how I was so much in the grip of the external circumstances which used to decide how
Yeah.
I'm supposed to feel. How I'm going to feel is not in my hand. How I feel is completely controlled and decided by the circumstances which gets presented to me during the day.
Yeah. So true. I can relate to that. And and that's where the topic for today, the transformation begins from within. In the context of corporate and the business world becomes extremely important. Now, would love to hear from you that in the context of the business that you have been running, and you have been running a business for so many years, how have you been able to put that into practice? When things are not going the way you would expect them to go, when teams might not be performing as you would expect them to perform, how do you handle your emotions while you continue to observe them, of course?
Yeah, yeah.
How do you ensure that your emotions don't interfere in the progress of your team and yet they continue to grow?
Right. So very interesting because after this recognition that what these emotions are getting created by the situation I am in, over a period, I've realized that these are all temporary. As you observe your emotions and you don't get carried away by them, the moment you are able to create a pause and you're able to reflect of what havoc that emotions are causing, whether it is anger, fear, frustration, whatever it is, the moment you're able to bring that observer to your emotions, what emotions, and you can recognize how dirty you're feeling inside. You can clearly see that something happening inside you which it is not pleasant at all, right? But the moment you're able to observe it within few minutes or even few seconds for that matter, they dissolve, they just go away. And then you say, okay, this is my reality, it has happened, now I should not react or let me respond to
Yeah,
this particular situation I have been presented now.
yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely. And that's where, yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
so that recognition and that practice actually transformed my life actually.
Yeah,
And I realized that a leader is actually not supposed to be chasing and producing anything. Leader's job is primarily to just be aware of his emotions and the emotions of the people who are going through around him and help them to balance them out, because any which way the capability and the competency is a long down process. It just doesn't happen in people overnight.
yeah,
If they will have to grow, they will have to grow slowly over a period of time. People will gain experience and ability and competencies.
yeah,
But what happens immediately is the mess up of the emotions, your emotions and the emotions around you. That happens
yeah,
simultaneously. That
yeah,
happens at a speed which is super fast.
yeah, yeah. You know, the topic is really interesting. The topic is transformation begins within. And the way you define it, I think that's the best way to define transformation, first of all. That when you can look at yourself, the way you used to behave 5 years back, 10 years back, and you have the courage, the childlike curiosity, and the audacity to laugh at yourself and wonder, shucks, man, was I like that? I think that's transformation,
Okay.
right? Because transformation is when you cannot even meet your earlier self.
Hmm.
Now the next level of transformation is that when I know that I'm feeling messy within myself, can I still be can I still be comfortable and accept myself the way I am, accepting my own flaws? Yeah. There was a time I used to feel embarrassed that I used to bite my nails, and I would have so many videos when my producer would say, "Hey, Gaurav, can we have a take while you're typing something on laptop?" I said, "No, no, let's not do that, because while we'll be typing, you'll be able to pick up my nails." But then there came a time when I bite my nails. It's okay. And I'm not perfect. I know that, and I'm okay with that. And the moment I accepted that,
Hmm.
the magic starts to happen. I think
Hmm.
that's what we need to be very mindful of. That what is it that we could do that could help us to grow in our own ways of being and doing things. In fact, one of the questions that we have from Sai Kishore, Sai, thank you so much for asking this beautiful question. Sai is asking, how do you recognize leadership qualities within myself? Uh, let's hear from you, and then I would be very
No,
happy.
you go ahead first. I will add.
Um, Sai, thank you so much for bringing this question when you say that how to recognize leadership qualities within myself. I think in the world that we live in, the term leader is overrated and the term human is underrated. Let me just first address the question, how can you identify, how do you recognize the human qualities within yourself? And then we'll talk about leadership as well. Uh, a few days back, I was co facilitating a program with David Clutterbuck in Bangalore. Now, David Clutterbuck is a pioneer when it comes to leadership coaching. He has written over 78 books, and being in the company of this gentleman was nothing less than a blessing. Now, while I was having this conversation, we were talking about a concept called coach maturity. Now, before I talk about coach maturity, let's talk about how would you recognize the human qualities within yourself. All the qualities that you have, be it aggression or dormant, be it introversion or extroversion, be it courage or be it love and kindness, all these qualities are of a human being. Interestingly, all these qualities of a leader as well. Right? If you look at Anurag sir, he's leading a team, he's leading an organization. And on several occasions, I've come across leaders who are leading different organizations. All these qualities are available in them. Are these the same qualities in a leader? Definitely yes. Now, the question is what differentiates one leader from another? If you look at what differentiates one leader from another, is what kind of circle of influence you have in your life. If I'm only earning for myself, is it okay? Absolutely, yes. That's one circle. The next circle is when I start to do something for my family members. The next circle is when I start to do something for my relatives. The next circle is when I'm doing something for the community, the society that I'm a part of. At what level of circle of influence am I operating from is going to define what level of leader I'm becoming in my life. So the more inclusive I am at a in the vertical development pace, at a higher level of consciousness I'm vibrating at, and I'm being very light in the way I look at myself. So the more and more mature leaders that I've come across in my life, I've realized that one, they don't take anything very personal. They know that whatever is happening is happening. As Anurag sir mentioned, that I just observe myself, recognize the emotion that I'm experiencing. And today I can laugh at that. What a jerk I was. That's what I say to myself. What a jerk I was. Why would I be aggressive? Now, the second is they are very inclusive. I mean, look at individuals like Bhagat Singh at an age of 23. He said that I am India's son. मैं भारत माता का बेटा हूँ. Look at Guru Gobind Singh Ji at an age of 43. He became what he became and he left his body. So, leadership and maturity is no way related to age. It's no way related to the education. It's and absolutely related to who you are as an individual and what level of consciousness you're operating from. But would love to hear from you as well, Anurag sir.
Yeah. So taking it further, I think I like that part that when people talk about leadership, um, is the first aspect is that leader has to be a good human being first. Otherwise, he cannot be or she cannot be a leader. If you're not a good human being, even if you are a manager in a company and you control, even if you are the CEO in the organization, you're not a leader. You are a manager there and you are throwing your weight around with the position you have. Leadership to me means you're able to touch and influence people in the manner which is devoid from your authority of what position you hold. That's leadership to me. And when you are able to touch the lives of people and impact them in some positive manner, and they feel good about you and good about what you're doing, that person starts becoming a leader because people start following such people in their life. And as people, start living beyond self, right? Their transition to then the people start recognizing that this gentleman is not here for himself or herself. This gentleman is here for the larger good and is keen to do something which will benefit many more. And then there is a level of trust which starts getting built between the people and the person or the leader, you call it. And that trust factor actually creates the level of influence what you were talking about, whether you first influence yourself, then family, then your neighbors and society, and then you start influencing more and more people, because people start recognizing that this gentleman is here for doing something which is not self-centric. Selfishness and self centricness is the biggest killer of leaders' ability to perform well in life.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because again, let's look at that. When we're talking about being self centered, again, the locus, I mean, for me, I'm the center of the universe. And that's the reason I'm being selfish. Now, how can I let go of that? And now that's the biggest challenge, because throughout my life, I've realized that for as long as I'm taking care of myself, I'll be provided for in this universe. And that's where I need to further expand my circle of influence so that I'm not the center of the universe. My whole family, my whole community, my whole city, my whole state, my whole country is at the center of my universe. And I think that's what differentiates one individual from another. Let's look at, and I've always quoted Mr. Ratan Tata. And I tell people that if not for him, I don't think that India would have been where India is, if not for Tatas. And leaders like Jamsetji Tata, leaders like J.R.D. Tata, leaders like Chandrasekharji right now, who's the chairman of Tata Group, or for that matter, I've had the great honor of interacting with Mr. T.V. Narendran from Tata Steel. Now, in the presence of these leaders, you realize and you get so much value just by the way they show up in the conversation, the way they listen, the way they are considerate, the way they consider your point of view and your perspective, and their ability to be more inclusive. So the question that I need to ask myself is, am I able to, when we are talking about that the transformation from within, it means that am I willing to look at that how am I being a cause for all the sufferings that I'm experiencing in my life? Now, can I be an ease to be with? And unless I'm an ease to be with, I'll not be able to create an equilibrium around me where peace blossoms, where there is growth, where there is prosperity. That's one, right? The second question that I need to ask is, can I create that psychological safety around me? Or am I being a threat? Now, if I am disconnected from within, I'll find it extremely difficult to connect with the other person because, as I often share, the basic desire of a human being is expression, connection, and contribution. And in order to express, I need to go deep within to find my superpower, to find the strengths and the gifts that I've been blessed with. In order to connect with others, I need to connect with my own self again within. And in order to contribute, I have to go within, because unless I'm able to express, unless I'm able to connect within and without, I'll not be able to contribute. And that's how the journey is. That's how the vertical development of an individual happens.
Right, right, right. Yeah, very, very interesting actually. In fact, when I reflect back and look at the whole education system, including what I have done in my own school days throughout, it appeared that we are constantly in race in our life, and it's a never-ending race where people are competing and people want to be ahead of others and feeling envious, and all those things are part and parcel of life. Where to me, leadership journey is all about inclusiveness. Leadership journey is all about feeling one with everyone around you. And when you start feeling one with everyone around you, then how can you make choices which are detrimental to their interest?
Yeah.
You're always then making choices which has betterment for most people around. And when you are making choices which is good for most of the people around you, then obviously you connect with them and they feel the trust with you.
Yeah.
So I see this all getting very well connected with each other. But as we said, this journey begins within. But today I'm actually a little, little pained and saddened also by this fact that our education system is probably not introducing us to this journey within which each of us need to take to become a good human being also.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then leadership will come automatically after that. Once you become a good human, anyway, the leader, you will become a leader, even without a
And
title.
it's not a surprise for me, Anurag sir.
Hmm.
And that's the reason why there are more books written on leadership than there are leaders in the world.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's one. Second is, as much as I would want to be a good human being, which is an ideal space to be, so that means I should not even think about anything that could be detrimental for people around me.
Correct.
But that does not work out that way. It's because as much as I would want to be like that, but the moment I go out, the environment that I'm a part of, it's a very competitive environment. We have this tendency to judge others based on the watch the person is carrying. We have this tendency to look at the qualifications the person has. We have this tendency to look at how well groomed the person is, how well uh, read or well spoken the person is. Noticing somebody's basic value system is a secondary step.
Hmm.
We tend to evaluate people based on the car that they drive. Now, if we are living in the world that we are a part of, as much as I would like to be a good human being, but the parameters on which I would be evaluated on are different. And that's the reason we always promote what we celebrate. The question is, what am I celebrating at home? What am I celebrating at work? You know, when I watch Neer is 5 and she can meditate for 12 minutes, right?
Amazing.
I'm not interested in anything that she does or not, but for as long as a couple of things she takes care of, I'm really happy. One is meditation. She does meditation for 11 to 12 minutes. She can sit idle. Second thing is she reads. She reads, of course, I read it for her. And we have been able, as a family, we have been able to imbibe in the habit of reading in her because her whole room is surrounded by books. And so, what kind of habits are we celebrating in the environment when a child is growing? Is what we are promoting it unconsciously?
Okay.
And that's a very important question. As an organization, what are we promoting when we are talking about transformative leadership? What are we promoting in the organization? Do we are we promoting respect? Are we promoting uh, equality in the organization, or are we promoting selfishness? As a leader, if I'm being selfish, unconsciously I'm giving a signal that it's okay to be selfish. If I'm celebrating competition in an organization, that I'm giving a signal to the organization and to everyone in the organization that it's okay to compete and to grow at the cost of the other person. So, what are we celebrating is a very important question to ask.
Just a curiosity as to how a 5-year-old child was introduced to meditation and she can now meditate 10, 11 minutes, 12 minutes, and being still. It's
Yeah,
so very amazing.
yeah. So let me give you a very simple example. हमारे घर में पाठ बहुत होते हैं सर. right? I've
Hmm.
told you, right, the other day I showed you that in at our in my at my home we've got this big Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's photograph. So हमारे घर में पाठ बहुत होते हैं, and it looks more like a gurdwara than a home. So we had this part the other day, and um, what happened is, because everyone came, so the house was a little dirty. So I started mopping the floor. जैसे पोछा मारते हैं ना. So I was doing that, and Neer came to me and said, Neer, and she says, Gaurav, don't do this. I've asked her to call me Gaurav, don't call me Papa, blah 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 blah. Right? So I said, I will earn when she needs to call me Papa whenever she calls me. I don't need to tell her that you need to call me Papa G and all that. So she, at that point in time last year, she would call me Gaurav, and she came to me and said, Gaurav, uh, आप ये मत करो. Boys don't do this. And in my mind, I was wondering, where has she learned this? That boys don't mop the floor. It hit me hard. It hit me hard. Now, even if I have to wash utensils, I absolutely take this as a pride, because somewhere or the other, Neil is going to notice me mopping the floor, washing the utensils, and unconsciously she'll pick up that it's okay to wash the utensils and mop the floor, because that's human.
Correct.
The question is not whether how has she learned how to meditate. The question is, how has she learned that boys don't mop floor? It's something in the environment, right? The way your children enact in their life is a true reflection of how you have been as a father or a mother. Your children are the true reflection of who you are as parents. Similarly, your team is a reflection of who you are as a team leader. When my team is not performing, before I question them, I take a pause and reflect, hey, how am I being a cause in this? What is it that I'm doing or not doing, because of which they are behaving in this way? I can only take care of my behavior. Tomorrow, if my team chooses not to perform, and if I have done my own introspection, it's absolutely their karmas. They have to go through a pain. Now, same is the case with children as well. I'm in love with Khalil Gibran's poem. It says that my children, your children are not your children. They come through you, not from you.
Correct.
You can take care of their thought process. No, you can take care of what kind of love you give them, not their thought
Not their
process.
thought process.
It's an
Very true.
amazingly beautiful poem, isn't it? Now, same is the case. How has she learned? She might not call now she calls it meditation, by the way. But when she learned it, because she has seen me and my family members sitting quietly with their eyes closed. When she started, she did not know that it's known as meditation. But now she tells me, Gaurav, Papa. That's how she speaks. Meditation lagao na. Now, meditation lagao na means what? Please switch on the music, because I would
Correct.
like to sit. And she would sit. She would sit. At times, she would be sleepy. She would sleep. But the point is, she has been able to meditate for 11 to 12 minutes. Isn't that so amazing? Isn't
Absolutely.
that it's a matter of true inspiration for me? I said, wow, if
Very,
she can do it, I can do it. She can
very.
recite Saraswati Stotram, which is 1 minute and some 48 seconds. She can recite that. Now, how has she learned that? She's on her own journey. Just because she has taken birth in this lifetime, in this family, does not mean that I need to teach her everything. Because what if that's her 17th Janma and I'm on my 15th Janma? So that means she's, anyways, elder to me. So, as they say, that a child is the father of a man. So,
Yeah, beautiful. No, that's very, in fact, recognizing this absence of any skill provided to people to focus and have a ability to concentrate on any subject matter and then practice the power of meditation. In our organization, we made it for everyone. and we welcome them, saying, we will help you to get registered. You will be on duty when you are going through meditative 10 days of Vipassana course. It will not be leave, it will be, you'll be treated on duty. And we will take care of you going through that. I keep encouraging, I keep telling people that this is probably one of the skills or one of the practice or the process where every human being needs to get exposed and
Oh,
experience.
absolutely, yes.
And once you have experienced it, once you have understood that my energy operates in the presence of other people's energy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've shared with you that balloon story.
yeah,
I've shared with on my LinkedIn profile the balloon story, which is winning together
yeah,
story for the company. I
absolutely.
when I reflect on it, I recognize that how much of energies continue to keep getting wasted. And if we become collaborative in our space with other human beings, how much value can be created with such little efforts, and so much of joy can be the part of that particular experience for everybody. That's the kind of feeling now I have, and I believe my only job in the organization is to keep helping people recognize their energy and the energies of people around them. So we call the skill as align energy to create synergy.
So true, so true, so true. And this is very important. And I'm really happy to hear that in an organization, the founder is saying, or the senior leader is saying that no, when people go for Vipassana for 10 days in an organization, it's considered as your on job. Because at the end of the day, it's an extremely important training to watch your emotions. If you look at most of the organizations, Anurag sir, most of the breakdowns happen because of emotional immaturity. I have come across so many leaders, they find themselves paralyzed and not being able to take an informed decision because their emotions are riding them. And if only we can create a culture where people are celebrated or people get promoted based on their emotional maturity, we'll be able to create much stable organizations. The incidental, a little unfortunate part is we celebrate performance.
We celebrate
When we
performance.
celebrate performance, unconsciously we are celebrating competition.
Right.
When we are celebrating we are celebrating competition, who are we promoting? We are promoting alpha males and alpha females. Now, what do you expect? Of course, they are going to bully down the other people. They would try to control the situation. They would try to drive results at the cost of whom? At the cost of other people.
Correct.
And that brings to a beautiful question. I would love to hear your views on that. Divya is asking this question. Divya is asking, but being compassionate and humble does not work for the first time managers. Some people want to put you down. What is your advice?
You want to go first, Gaurav?
Please go ahead. I'll be very happy to address this. Yeah.
So, see, basically, I understand that when you are a first time managers, so there may be you have grown among the other people and they are not feeling happy about that you have become the manager and now they are the subordinates to you. So there may be some leg pulling involved in that. But I recognize that if you are humble and you are good human being and you respect them, it's just a matter of time that they will turn around and say that you're a good leader. So acceptance may take a little time. You need not be too offended by the behaviors when people are trying to pull you down or trying to, just have that kind of conversation where they feel connected with you, saying,
Yeah.
and once you're able to connect with them, even if they are putting you down and you do not adversely react to them, automatically that desire to put you down will disappear, is my personal feeling.
Yeah,
I haven't had a great experience at it because being an entrepreneur and probably owners part of the ownership in the organization, I never really experienced that. So my
yeah,
apologies for not giving you my personal experience, but this is what I feel.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Divya, thank you so much for asking this question. What a beautiful question it is. And I can so much relate to that. Let me share my perspective to this. The question now, the very fact that I'm saying that, what if, how would you show up when others are not being compassionate to you? Now, the very fact, the very question appears that I continue to look at myself as a victim, that the others are not being compassionate, others are not being kind. I'm being kind. How would I handle that? I'm being a victim. So that's one assumption that I have. How would you like to deal with that assumption? I'm not going to comment that. It's a question that we need to ask ourselves. That's one. Second, the question that I need to ask myself is, what journey am I on to? Am I on a journey to become the CEO, the vice president, scale 1, scale 2, scale 3, scale 4, scale 5, scale 6 leader, general manager? That's one journey. Or am I on a journey to become a better human being? That's a question that I need to ask myself. If I'm in the competition as much as the other person is, my focus would be to compete with the other person and make sure that I win. And the second is, my main focus is that how can I evolve as a human being? And on this path, I would definitely come across situations. Now, do I trust that the life is happening for me and not life is happening to me? So that's the second thing. The third thing, the question itself reminds me of a conversation that I had with Mr. Manoj Kohli. Now, Mr. Manoj Kohli, he was the CEO of Airtel. The world knows him. Quite a celebrated leader he is. Now, in most of his conversations and most of my conversations with him, he has often mentioned that he has learned a lot from his grandmother. And his grandmother had this knack of sharing stories. So, on my podcast, by the way, I have a podcast called the Ex Monks Tribe. So, on my podcast, I asked him, Mr. Kohli, what is that one story that has stayed with you that your Dadima shared with you? And he's a Punjabi. And he said, oh, I still remember one such story from my grandmother. I said, what was that? He said, एक बारी क्या होता है, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he was he was on his trip as always. He has spent most of his life walking and sharing the message of Ekumkar in the world. So while he was on his journey with his friend called Mardana, now while he was drinking water, a scorpion came, stung him. एक बारी काटा, दो बारी काटा. And Mardana said, hey, why don't you just hit it and push it? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji, being Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he said, his nature is what he's doing. I'm a human being. My nature is to be kind and compassionate. If he's not willing, if the Scorpio is not willing to let go of his nature, why should I let go of my nature? The question is, what journey am I on to? Do I come across people who try and take me for granted? Definitely, yes. Do I come across people who unconsciously are cheating me? My answer is yes. But I'm yet to come across somebody जो सुबह उठेगा यार, आज तो गौरव को cheat करना ही करना है. At least I have not come across people who wake up with this intention कि यार आज तो किसी को cheat करना ही करना है. They do it, they don't do it. I don't know why they do what people do, what they do, but it could be some unconscious act that did not go in your favor. So these are the few reflections that I hold myself with, and I look at myself. How would you deal with this? Is a couple of questions that you may want to ask yourself. What assumption am I operating from? How am I looking at myself? Am I operating as a victim in this conversation, or somebody who is where the life is happening? What assumptions do I have for people? and how best can I deal with this situation? What is the message that is there for me? What lesson I've not yet learned that I need to learn? Because unless I learn the lesson that I need to learn in this lifetime, situations would continue to crop, only faces would change, patterns will remain same. So thank you, Divya.
Very, very interesting, Gaurav, when you said what journey you are in. Are you in that race to grow in the ladders of the hierarchy, or are you on the journey to become a better human being?
Yeah,
And if we are on a journey to be a better human being, we will deal with all people with compassion and with empathy. And with compassion and empathy, which people have generally, such people become great connectors to other lives around
yeah,
them. And I have experienced this personally myself, that people who are having great ability to listen, to be compassionate, to be empathetic with others, they generally are able to have a lot of positive impact on all the people around them in the personal space as well as in the professional space.
yeah,
And this feeling of victim is something probably is something needs worth reflecting, whether should we be competing at that moment when people are behaving the way they are behaving, or
yeah,
should we be more compassionate to them?
yeah. It's not at all, Anurag sir. My take is it. I don't know. I should not even talk about should or should not. But I think for me, I think the only way to be is being compassionate and to be kind. It depends entirely on to what level you can stretch yourself, right? There's something called compassion fatigue. When you're trying to be compassionate to somebody, it could be a possibility it might start to hurt you. That's where you need to
Bring the
detach yourself.
balance. Hmm.
You need to detach yourself, which is very painful. At times you experience that in your family as well. In your family, how would you deal with the situation when one of your family members, has a lot of reactive patterns? Or if my family members are operating from a space of insecurity, or if my brother is not being able to trust me, or my sister is not being able to trust me, how would you do that? Of course, they are my family members. I would stretch myself to the last drop possible, the last cent possible. But beyond the time, you would only send them good wishes, send them good blessings, and you might want to take one step backwards, because it's their journey at the end of the day. They might tell you that you are being a crook, you have been a cheat, you have been you did not support, blah 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 blah. But for as long as you are clear about your intentions, you'll be at peace with yourself. You might not be happy because you have lost a family member, you have lost a well-wisher, you have lost a friend, you have lost somebody that you have loved at one point in time. But then you can't do much about that, because they are on their journey. As they say, akele aayo akele jana hai. In this lifetime you'll come across people who might help you to learn lessons that you need to learn. But beyond the time, beyond a point, um, it's an individual journey. It's a very individualistic journey. And I personally believe कि हम यहाँ पे कर रहे हैं ना, सिर्फ time pass कर रहे हैं sir. You are running a business, I'm running a consulting, somebody's an employee somewhere, somebody is a dancer, somebody is a bartender. We are just passing time. But the core objective of this lifetime is to, as you mentioned, is evolve and come in contact with that oneness, and just be fine there. And the sooner I reach there, as Bhagat Singh ji reached that beautiful point when he was 23, Guru Gobind Singh ji reached that point at 43, where they could experience oneness in their life, and their job was done. And at the same time, there are people we meet in our lifetime. They are 50, they are 60, they are 70, they are 80, and yet they are struggling. I have one of the colleagues that I work with. He's in his late 60s, and he gets stuck every single time. And there's another gentleman who's like 70. Uh, and I say, what a childlike energy you have. I just love working with you. Day before yesterday, I was talking to him. He's like 69. And he'll be celebrating his 70th birthday. And it's such a feast, such a joy to be in his presence because he does not take himself too seriously. He's like so curious in the conversation. He will give you all the respect. Now, am I able to give respect to the other person? Am I able to embrace the other person? Am I willing to take myself lightly? Am I being inclusive? Do people feel comfortable in my presence? Am I an ease to be with? Big questions, but very difficult answers, and even difficult is to live by them.
True, very true, very true.
But the answers is, as they say, they are within.
True, very true. And in fact, we have a question from one Dr. Ramesh Kumar, and he's saying that in corporate requires results, and for the person to play the dual role as a manager and the leader. What is your take on this? So, Gaurav, you'll go first, or you want me to speak?
Up चाहिए.
So first, Dr. Kumar, my input is that yes, we do recognize that as corporate people, results is a necessity because that provides bread and butter for everybody in the organization.
Yes.
But if you look at results, the way the results are getting produced or not getting produced, at that moment, you have a choice. The choice is that when the results are not there, you as leader is getting upset and you are firing everybody around you and you are trying to make things better. Do you think it will become better? I don't think so. But if you are composed, you look at the facts and reality that this is the results, and this is the results based on what we have been able to do up till now. They'll say, okay, how do we become better from here together by supporting each other rather than trying to put anybody down and point fingers because ultimately it's a collective responsibility. And even if the person who has made a mistake, if you can be supportive to him, that person is likely to grow faster and quicker rather than being put down and being humiliated in front of everybody else and, made a person responsible for the entire failure of whatever has happened. So
Yeah.
these are leadership skills. I remember very well, when somebody was saying that in ISRO, when the first rocket went down, the director of the company or director of ISRO said that, sorry, we have failed. And I have, our rocket went down. And when the results were good, he sent the leader in ISRO next to him and said, now, express the happiness. You have been the leader. So it's the leadership is the role where there are only two alternatives. You get upset and deal with it and create a mess within you and mess outside you, or you accept the reality that this is the results and then see what together all of us can put our energy to improve the results. And that's how I have started recognizing that now a leader who can remain calm and not get upset and not feel out of balance emotionally at that moment, that leader has great potential to take the whole group forward. Uh, because the results are bad, you can't overnight change anything by
Yeah.
being upset or being aggressive. Can you change anything? I doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, this is the story that is shared by Dr. Abdul Kalam ji, late Dr. Abdul
So
Kalam ji.
Gaurav, just remind one reminder to is that there's only one 1 minute
1 minute
left
left.
for our
Absolutely.
live. So I'm
Absolutely.
over to you. Go ahead. Sorry
Yeah.
for this reminder.
No, absolutely. We're just very much in time. And, Dr. Abdul Kalam ji said that a leader is somebody who's willing to take the responsibility of the failure.
Right.
And he's somebody or she's somebody who's willing to hand over the laurels, the privileges of being a champion to their team.
True. Very true.
And it depends on how inclusive one is. And if he's self centered, it's all about me.
Hmm.
If they are blessed and grow, let's celebrate together.
True.
So I'll stop
True.
here. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, and I fully agree. In fact, I believe that this has been a wonderful conversation, Gaurav, with you. You have been very, very kind and very nice. I hope people enjoyed this conversation with us, and I truly believe that where we are today is not because of one single individual or somebody else. It's all because of the collective work and energy everybody has put in. And we are truly enjoying this journey. To be honest with you, these are some of my most happiest and joyful moments in my leadership journey. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you so much for this interaction. Thank you, friends, for joining us. Take care.